Hi, I'm Jennifer Hoff, and I am the current membership VP for the Black Hills Area Council. Welcome to our event. I'm very excited to be here to usher you through our leadership breakfast virtually this year. For those who joined us early, I just thank you for watching the sponsor slides and the Scout skits and testimonials. We had a lot of fun putting this program together, and really excited for what you're about to see. What you see behind me is our temperature scale of where we're at with our sponsors. So as you can see, we're going to be building a campsite because this is scouting, and what is the best way to watch if we've met our goals than building a campsite. So from our sponsors, who again, if you didn't already catch the slides, you can go back and watch that. But we've got the ground, we got the sky, and we've got the sun. Now we need your help to build the rest of that campsite. So as we go through the program this morning, please enjoy all of the great updates, the awards, and the fun skits that we put together. And that there's a couple different ways that you can do your pledges. First, you can call. We've got people ready to answer the phone at 605-342-2824. I repeat, that phone number that you're going to want to call, 605-342-2824. Or you can visit our website at leadership.blackhillsbsa.org. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Danny and get this show started. Remember, you can check back with us throughout the day to see where we're at and how we built that campsite with your help.
Good morning and welcome to our 20th annual Leadership Breakfast for the benefit of scouting in the Black Hills. Normally, I would be asking you to find your seat so we can begin our program. But today, you can sit at your own breakfast table, relax on your couch, or even curl up in bed. My name is Danny Nelson. I am Eagle Scout Troop 25 in Custer, South Dakota, sponsored by the Rotary Corps. I am a 2020 graduate of Custer High School, where I was active in the theater program, where we attended the state one-act competition for 3 years in a row. It may or may not be a coincidence that I am your MC this morning. I was also active in our school's pottery program and attended youth group at Calvary Lutheran Church in Rapid City. I plan to take a year to hone my skills before I go to school for pottery and ceramics. It is my pleasure to be the Master of Ceremonies for the 20th annual Leadership Breakfast for Scouting. The breakfast serves as the kickoff celebration for the Friends of Scouting campaign and provides us an opportunity to show you what your support has accomplished over the year. Building stronger communities is our theme for this year, and with everything that has happened recently, I think it is apparent that Scouts help our community in more ways than we can count. While trying to practice social distancing, troops have not been meeting. However, individuals have helped their communities throughout the region. Our first order of business comes from some of our board members who would like to share their appreciation of you, our supporters in scouting in the Black Hills.
All right, welcome everyone to the meeting today. Appreciate you all being here. We really have just one topic that we need to discuss today, and that's our virtual breakfast that's coming up in just a couple weeks. We really need to hammer down, focus, and get this thing planned out. Jennifer Hoff, looks like Jen's talking. Jen, we're starting the meeting now, Jen. Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry, I was waiting for you guys to get started. I was just talking to my friend Clark. Yeah.
Hi,
it's
everyone.
A little lonely here.
Hey, it's great to see you. Hey, you guys, I've got my camp shirt on, so I hope you enjoy like looking at the logo and everything.
Oh, Sharon, we can't see you. Hey, you need to actually turn on your video. Do you know how to do that?
Me. Oh.
Yeah, we can't see you. So you have to look in your box, and then there's those 3 little dots, like right here. Can't you see them?
I don't think I know how to do that. I can't. Wait, where'd the call go? What am I looking at?
Look at where I'm pointing.
I can't see that. Hey, it's good to see you
dots.
guys. Is Bob with us today?
I'm here today.
Well, like, is he with us? It looks like he's doing something else.
Well,
okay, Sharon, we need to get your video going.
Okay, well, just start the meeting. I'll catch up later.
Okay, you just got to find the 3 dots and start video. It works out really well. Can't wait
you
to
guys,
see your face.
I really want you to see my shirt, though.
Okay. All right. Let's get started. Time is limited. We really need to focus. Let's get this meeting planned. So let's get into the business here. Let's see. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for joining our virtual leadership breakfast this year. With COVID and everything going on, it's definitely been a fun and different experience for all of us. But we want to welcome everyone to our breakfast and welcome all of our board members here for joining us today. I'm now going to turn the time over to Brad Fisher, our council president. Brad?
Hey, Brad, I think you got it on mute there, Brad.
Brad, we
Muted.
can't hear you.
You're muted. Find the three dots.
Oh, God, I hate it when I do that. I start talking before taking that mute button. Sorry, it's embarrassing. Listen, thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Brad Fisher. I'm the board president this year. It's a privilege serving the board, and it's really awesome to be part of this year's virtual leadership breakfast. It should be quite exciting. I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you to those who joined us on Facebook Live. How exciting. Everyone gets up so early. I'm proud of you all. I hope you have a little fun and you enjoy today's breakfast. With that, I'm going to open it up to other board members for a little introduction and a welcome. And let's start with you, Bob. How about that?
Perfect. Thanks, Brad. This is kind of a unique time for us from the standpoint that we're doing a virtual breakfast. We're usually having breakfast together and enjoying the camaraderie. But unfortunately, we couldn't get together, but it's still great to have as many people on this recording, and hopefully this will be a great day. Who are we turning it from here? Who's next? Who would like to say hi? Yeah, again on the
Brad,
mute.
I think you're on mute still.
Yep, still muted.
Mute.
Put $1 in the jar, Brad.
Okay, one moment. Sharon, let's go to you, please. Share some
Oh,
thoughts.
great. All right. So I hope everyone.
Sharon, your video's still not going.
I want everybody to see my camp shirt, so I'm not sure how to get my video turned on. At any rate, I'm hoping that you're all going to be able to enjoy the Facebook Live event. We have some great captures of some scouts sharing some of their adventures and doing some skits for you. And it's just a great way to showcase all the wonderful things that scouting provides to our young adults in this community. So I know that it made a huge difference for my two sons, and we're impacting other youth, and we just appreciate your time to spend the day with us and come back and visit all the different scenes that are going to happen throughout the day. Most importantly, I hope you can enjoy my shirt. Can everybody see my shirt okay? This is my camp shirt. I've got it on. So thanks, Brad.
Still no shirt.
I do not know how to get that video fixed.
I don't know.
You
All
look
right.
like Joel Bice.
All right. So how about Mike? Why don't you go ahead and take over and give us your thoughts?
Oh, Mike, you're on mute too.
I can't get my camera. Mike can't get us mute.
No.
No.
Those are some sweet shorts.
No, we still can't hear you, Mike.
Are those Florida shorts?
Is he supposed to have his full uniform on?
I thought he was supposed to be in uniform, Mike.
I don't know.
Oh, he's going to type something in the chat window, I believe. Can he get his mic to work?
No, it looks like we're not going to hear from Mike. Isn't it kind of ironic that our tech guy is the one that has problems with the tech? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Well, Kim, let's go ahead and go over to you.
Sure. You know, I absolutely love to talk about scouting. I just started my 18th year as a volunteer, and it just has done so much.
Oh, we lost Kim.
Uh-oh.
Where'd she go?
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Well, I'll try and see if I can find Kim. Joel, why don't you go ahead and share your greetings?
Okay, I have a lengthy prepared statement. Thank you for joining the virtual breakfast.
That was short and brief. Beautiful, Joel. Nice and concise. Okay.
Do you guys think Kim's coming back? Do you think we need to send her the link? Can you invite her, Corey?
Well,
Yeah, I'll go ahead and send her the link and re-invite her here.
Okay.
Just go ahead. I'll go ahead and just invite her.
Okay. Or check to just see if she's waiting back in the lobby. Sometimes she's just waiting to get in.
Okay, y'all check that.
Okay.
I'll also send her a message.
Okay. Did everybody else? I think. Oh, Brad, were you saying something? Nope. Okay, Troy, let's go to you. Did you already talk, Troy?
No, I haven't talked.
I didn't think so.
Thank you again for coming to our virtual breakfast. I'm the VP of development, and so I had a team that was working, and we were about halfway through planning our in-person event when the COVID-19 hit, and we had to back up and recover. And I appreciate the team that has been assembled here to take over and do a lot of work on this virtual breakfast. So I hope you enjoy the day and the program to come.
Awesome. Kim's back.
I don't know what happened there. I was just talking and all of a sudden I was gone. So anyway, you know, I'm so excited for this virtual breakfast. This just really means a lot to us. Scouting has given so much to my family. It's always been the thing my son and I could do together. And I know that it offers the same to other people. So I appreciate everybody supporting the Scouts and joining us and learning more about what we do.
Awesome. I think with that, I think I'm the last one to go. Sharon! We can't hear Sharon, but we can see her.
I got my camera to work. So excited.
It always comes around at some point, right? Awesome. Well, I'm Jen Hoff. I don't think I really introduced myself, but I am the current membership VP, and I am helping coordinate with Sharon's helping quite a bit with this virtual breakfast. For me, I do food service, so you know, not actually having breakfast in front of us is a little bit of a challenge. But the beautiful thing is that you can eat whatever you want while you're enjoying our program today. I just want to thank everybody who has volunteered or been voluntold, because we do that in scouting a lot, right? Voluntold to be part of our virtual breakfast today. And we're going to have a great program for you guys. So even though we can't see you in person, we're excited to have you here. And I turn it back over to Corey for any final thoughts.
Thank you, Jennifer. That's great. This is going to be a great virtual meeting. We hope you really enjoyed it. We've had a lot of fun putting it all together for you. Just enjoy it. And this concludes our meeting. I'm going to go ahead and turn the time back over to Danny, our MC, to continue our breakfast. Thank you all.
Pan to camera one. How many of your Zoom meetings have been like that? The scouting program starts with the Cub Scouts program, where the boys and girls kindergarten through 5th grade begin developing life skills, community awareness, and timeless values. This is the stepping stone into the next level of the scouting program. Scouts BSA, formerly called Boy Scouts, is the next step in the scouting program. Now, young men and women can experience the leadership and fun that this program has to offer. And all have the opportunity to earn the rank of Eagle Scout. In the Scouts BSA program, youth learn and develop leadership skills that will last them a lifetime. It is also in this program where Scouts can earn merit badges. In order to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout, Scouts are required to complete citizenship in the community, citizenship in the nation, and citizenship in the world. Merit badges, where they learn about our community and how to best serve it. Within each rank, Scouts must complete a certain number of community service hours in order to achieve that rank, promoting the idea of community service at a young age. Venturing is the next tier in the scouting program. Venturing is a co-ed, high adventure-based program that offers young men and women a chance to experience many new adventures, like caving, mountain climbing, and whitewater rafting. For many of these youth, the ability to participate in these activities is difficult outside of the scouting program. Venturing is completely youth-led. It is where the youth practice and fine-tune their leadership skills. Those skills will help them through their high school, college, and well into their future. The last tier is the Explorers program, which gives young men and women a true taste of going beyond the badge. This career-based program allows them to completely immerse themselves in a career of interest, from police and fire cadets to medical EMTs. The youth get a feel for a potential career. It is through the Exploring program, youth can decide if this is the career they want to continue for the rest of their lives. Now, a word from our crew at Medicine Mountain Scout Ranch, sponsored by First Interstate Bank, who understands building stronger communities as they are built for you.
All right, so we always want to make sure we grab our T grip. You always grab the top of it, otherwise you'll end up hitting yourself or your friend, your teeth, your mouth. You always grab your handle down here, paddle down here. To do the forward stroke, you'll put your paddle in the water and pull forward. And then to do the reverse stroke, you put your paddle in and push back. That easy, all right? So I want you to go ahead and practice your forward stroke, please. Yep, great work, great work. No, don't splash your friend, all right? Now practice your reverse stroke. All right, good work, guys. Nice work. Ugh, what am I doing? There's not even kids here.
This is Bobby, another victim of COVID-19. She was really excited to teach merit badges this summer at Medicine Mountain, where they offer 45 or more merit badges. Not only do they offer merit badges, but they have 6 high adventure programs that they offer. Did you know that we are one of 2 camps everywhere that offers caving? Pretty unique to the Black Hills area. If you have older scouts and they may have already achieved those merit badges, the other beautiful thing about Medicine Mountain is we offer expedition programs. So people come from all over to just explore with our tour guides, typically volunteers of our Black Hills Area Council, to teach people and show them all of the wonderful things that the Black Hills has to offer. We're very sad that we don't get to offer those these years. Hence Bobby, still very, very sad in her canoe all by herself. And Bob, he just still had to also come out to summer camp as well. Next year these canoes will be full, especially with your support.
Today, more than ever, it is apparent the importance of having a strong community. COVID-19 has shown us a new way to live and has affected every single citizen. From families figuring out how to manage class instruction from home, to businesses adapting their business models to serve customers in a safe manner. Our world can survive this. You see stories going viral of all the good that is able to be present during this pandemic. Building stronger communities. Who would have thought our selected theme for this year would be so fitting for the unprecedented events? I have seen stories from scouts all over on how they have been able to step up and do what is ingrained in themselves. Do a good turn daily. It could be making masks out of old neckerchiefs, 3D printing ear savers for masks, playing taps for memorials, life-saving measures for a sibling with COVID-19, shopping for those who are unable to. And locally, Troop 17 from Spearfish participated in a food drive. Troop 72 Gene from Rapid City wrote thank you notes to frontline workers. Pack 10 from Hill City stripped paint off historical buildings and cleaned them. The council donated leftover grocery bags from previous food drives to Custer and Sturgis for their free lunch distribution efforts. And Grace, Nadia, and Amina from Troop 72 Gene, with their parents, donated their time packing meals for the SDSMT International Students Inc. meal distribution efforts. The beauty of these examples is not that they happen because of the pandemic. These type of activities are performed on a regular basis and build a strong foundation for our scouts so they can continue to pay it forward as into adulthood. Building stronger communities has never been more important than it is right now. In this moment, And it starts with you, our supporters. As a part of Scouting's core values is to promote citizenship, patriotism, and love of our community. Please stand as Amina, a Bear Scout with Pack 33 of Crossroads Wesleyan Church, leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And then remain standing as Amina leads us in the oath, and her sister Nadia from Troop 72G, sponsored by Calvary Lutheran Church in Rapid City, leads us in the law.
Scout salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Scout sign. Please join me in the Scout oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Please join me in the Scout law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2.
While we have Nadia on stage and you at home getting ready to eat your delicious breakfast, whether it's a bagel, a full hot breakfast, or just a bowl of cereal, please prepare yourself for prayer.
In the spirit of the 12th point of the Scout law, Reverend, please prepare yourself for prayer. Heavenly Father, we pray for many things. We pray for faith in the world where many walk in fear, for food in the world where many walk in hunger, for leadership in a world where so many only follow, for friends in a world where many walk alone, for freedom in a world where so many are held captive. And Father, so too bless us with humor, understanding that the world smiles in the same language. Finally, Lord, place your loving hand over this assembly today, who give of their time, talent, and treasure, enabling Scouting to become a reality for so many people. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Oh, are we back already? And look at 2 spoonfuls. Thank you, Nadia, for those inspiring words. Now, before I change into my uniform, just a reminder that if you can't stay with us the whole time, no worries. Just log back onto Facebook and pick up where you left off. I now hand it over to Grace from Troop 72G, sponsored by Calvary Lutheran Church in Rapid City, to present our first award.
On March 24th, 2014, our council and our community lost a great leader who changed Scouting in the Black Hills, Arthur T. Jansen, former Scout executive of the Black Hills Area Council. Art was also instrumental in securing the funds and building the Scout Service Center in Rapid City. Under his leadership, a Boy Scout Cleanup Day was established in 1970, which later became a city and community-wide program and is still an annual event in Rapid City. For 21 years, Art served as coordinator of this event. After his passing, the council named the Eagle Scout of the Year Award in his honor. Now will all Eagle Scouts watching please comment below. Thank you for your continued support through all the years. This year, our Eagle Scout of the Year is Tyrone Ware from Troop 320. Tyrone is a freshman at University of South Dakota, where he is studying health science. He is also a member of the USD Marching Band. While in Scouting, Tyrone earned 35 merit badges and completed the Introduction to Leadership Skills course and Junior Leadership Training. Tyrone's Eagle Scout project was to build lending libraries for the United Way of the Black Hills. These little free libraries were placed in lower income areas around town, which included some schools like South Canyon Elementary, Robbinsdale Elementary, and General Beadle Elementary, a medical facility, the Community Health of the Black Hills, and Girls Inc. This project's purpose is to bring books into the hands of children who cannot or may not have access to books or the public library. Tyrone brought several groups together for one mission, to better serve the community. After college, Tyrone plans to become a veterinarian. Tyrone accredits Scouting for giving him invaluable leadership skills, while his mom, Angela, accredits scouting to helping him find his voice. Congratulations, Tyrone, on being the Art Jensen Eagle Scout of the Year.
Congratulations, Tyrone, for being Eagle Scout of the Year. Thank you.
What a great project, and congrats, Tyrone. We now have an opportunity to hear from our camp director, who is a teacher in Florida and spent his summers at Medicine Mountain, who then moved permanently back to South Dakota to be our program director. What can we say? He is just like the visitors to our state, who take leisurely drives on their Black Hills Harley Davidson and fall in love with the area.
Hey guys, welcome to Staff Week. I'm so excited to scout you guys this summer. This is going to be the best summer camp at MMSR ever. I know you guys are all excited. I can see you're all here waiting to start our staff training week. We have a lot of cool stuff to teach you. We have staffers coming back this summer from all over the United States. I know some of them aren't quite here yet, but we also have staffers coming from Mongolia and from Canada. So I'm so excited that you guys are here with us this morning to all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to get to work and learn all this new stuff to get us going for camp, and excited for all these campers we have coming this summer. And I can tell right now that you're ready to dig in there, shovel, and start sweeping up there, I think, broom and Clorox and coffee. This isn't my staff. Where's my staff? This is not my camp. What's going on? This isn't my camp staff.
Hi. What you've just witnessed is Stuart Smith, our council program director and our returning camp director at Medicine Mountain, just the latest victim of COVID-19. Now, he doesn't have COVID-19, but with this pandemic, we had to cancel summer camp this year. And unfortunately, he's had to replace all of his wonderful staff members, 45 in total, with these inanimate objects who are very untrainable. They're not picking up anything, even the broom. Did you know that those 45 staff members work on average 50 to 60 hours a week? It's a lot of time, but it's spent here in the beautiful outdoors. And it's an 8-week program, so we are missing out on 18,000 to 21,600 hours of enjoyable, loving camp staff that will have to wait until 2021. Thank you for tuning in, and next year will be better. It's going to be okay, Stuart.
I hope so.
I would now like to introduce Trevor, Eagle Scout with Troop 88 with Our Lady of the Black Hills in Piedmont, to introduce our next award.
On November 18th, 2013, the Newcastle community and Explorer Post 66 were in shock by the tragic death of 15-year-old Wyatt J. Pillen. Wyatt was a Cub Scout and was a member of 4-H, FFA, High School Rodeo, and the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. He enjoyed shooting sports, wrestling, Little Britches Rodeo, basketball, baseball, football, dancing, and being involved in training explorers. He was a leader in the Newcastle Fire Explorer program, and his dream was to become a rancher and fireman following his high school graduation. Because of the impact that Wyatt had, we had named our Explorer of the Year Award as the Wyatt Pillen Explorer of the Year Award. Our 2019 Explorer of the Year is Austin Kenny from Post 66 with the Newcastle Fire Department. Austin is incredibly focused and driven to not only help those around him better themselves, but he is constantly working to improve others as well. Austin started his journey in exploring the day he became eligible. He has been voted in as chief of Post 66 by his peers in both 2018 and 2019 because of his tremendous ability to lead the group in a positive and uplifting manner. Each month, Austin is scheduling specific training exercises he feels his group needs. He is an amazing leader within his post because he is willing to challenge himself as well as those around him. Austin has completed his Firefighter 1 training and is now working towards completing his Firefighter 2 training, as well as getting Red Card certified in wildland firefighting. Austin works tirelessly for his post and is also an exemplary student and athlete, 4.0 GPA and state qualified swimmer in numerous events. To quote his post, "We could think of no one more deserving of being celebrated for their hard work and dedication to their Explorer post than this young man who eats, sleeps, and breathes how to make his post and everyone involved better." It is with great honor that we present YM Pillen Explorer of the Year to Austin Kenny from Post 66.
Congratulations, Austin, on this achievement.
Austin, congratulations on this very special award. This next commercial is sponsored by Black Hills Energy. We are very thankful for their support, as well as their commitment to the communities they serve, as we are better together.
Oh, hello. Jen Hoff here. I am the current membership VP for the Black Hills Area Council, but before that, I was the program VP, and I did a lot to help with the summer camp operations here at Medicine Mountain, specifically helping with the commissary. If you don't know, our program here at Medicine Mountain is where all of the campers actually cook the food for themselves. So they come and pick up, it's kind of like a grocery store. So part of that development is figuring out products, what you need, how you need it, and how you can get it most price effective. And a lot of our resources, we have to order it all at the beginning of the summer to last. So as we tried to do a lot of reach-in freezers, we would find a lot of times we had a hard time keeping everything in the safety of food. So we really finally got this walk-in freezer, and I'm here to tell you why it's so important to have investors like you help support us. Because this walk-in freezer in a given summer, here's some data. 5,760 Go-Gurts. We like to freeze them because then they have a nice little treat, but it's still nutritious. 10,383 slices of cheese. Here's your bacon. 7,431 slices. 3,302 biscuits. 1,793 chicken breasts, plus 243 pounds of chicken. My favorite is the hot dogs, 3,352, plus all the buns to go with it. 6,738 meatballs, 3,963 sausage links. Gotta have our veggies, so 269 pounds of that. 208 pounds of deli turkey and 208 pounds of deli ham. And my favorite is 700 pounds of ground beef. Because this summer, we get to really say, where's the beef? Because unfortunately, we don't have any campers to feed our food to. But we're looking forward to 2021 and are going to be really set for success now that we have this walk-in freezer. So thank you.
We now go to our field reporter and order the Aero Lodge Chief Slade for a special report.
It's truly an honor to give the State of Council address. No worries, this won't be as long-winded as other addresses you may be familiar with. Maybe one day we can start one of these without us being in the news. But for now, let's start with addressing the elephant in the room. Many of you have heard some of the things in the media this year, and we would like to clarify any confusion that might be out there. The Black Hills Area Council is a separate entity from the National Council. We, the Black Hills Area Council, did not file for bankruptcy. We are entirely independent funded, and all of the money raised here stays here. Now on to local news. 2019 was a great year for the Black Hills Area Council. We received a silver rating for the Journey to Excellence program and saw improvement in many areas. We achieved a 7.3% membership growth across the Black Hills area, which included starting 3 new Scouts BSA girl troops, a Scouts BSA boy troop in Hot Springs, a Scout pack in North Rapid serving underprivileged youth, and a new career-based Fire Explorer post in Box Elder. We recruited over 362 youth in just fall alone, with over 100 girls in Cub Scouts and 18 girls in Scouts BSA. This put us ranked as second in Central Region and 8th in nation for membership growth. Scouting is alive and thriving in the Black Hills. That's not all. In 2019, we added over $42,000 into our endowment for contributions. We increased popcorn sales by $42,670, which is an 11% increase over 2018. We cut expense in 2019 by over $75,000, ensuring that every dollar raised here in the Black Hills is spent responsibly. While our camp attendance was down last year at Medicine Mountain Scout Ranch, we still brought more than 1,600 individuals to the Black Hills for our summer camp. We also improved our shooting sports programs with grants from the NRA Foundation, Black Hills Shootist Association, and South Dakota Game, Fish, and Parks. We had an increase in attendance at our Cub Scout Day camps, Mount Rushmore pilgrimage events, and our fall festival at Medicine Mountain. I was lucky enough to be one of the 11 youth and 3 adults to hike 72 miles through the backcountry of Philmont Scout Ranch. Let me tell you, it was truly an amazing experience. Last but not least, Scouts in the Black Hills did over 12,800 hours in community service. And during our annual Scouting for Food drive, we collected more than 36,000 pounds of food for local food banks, almost double from what we had in 2018. I would like to introduce our next commercial sponsor by Seco Construction, building a higher standard. Please welcome Anthony Schwagert with Troop 17 in Spearfish.
Hi, my name is Anthony Schweiger from Spearfish, South Dakota, Troop 17. It has been hard for me to make friends since I have autism. Scouts have made it easier because a scout is trustworthy and loyal. Scouts has helped me set up my own tent and set up the dining flag for my troop and be a leader.
Please welcome David R. Emery. David R. Emery is the former executive chairman of Black Hills Corporation, a customer-focused, growth-oriented utility company headquartered in Rapid City, South Dakota. The company serves 1.27 million electric and natural gas utility customers in more than 800 communities in 8 states. Emery served as Chief Executive Officer from 2004 to 2018 and Chairman of the Board from 2005 to 2018. He also served as the President from 2004 through 2015. Prior to being named CEO, he had held several other roles within the company, including President and Chief Operating Officer, Retail Business Segment from 2003 to 2004, and Vice President, Fuel Resources from 1997 to 2003. From 1993 to 1997, Emery was General Manager of the company's oil and gas subsidiary. Between 1989 and 1993, he served in the oil and gas subsidiary as an engineering manager and petroleum engineer. Emery has employed by Black Hills for 30 years. Prior to joining Black Hills Corporation, Emery worked as a petroleum engineer for the Union Pacific Resources in Denver, Colorado, Rock Springs, Wyoming, Houston, and Fort Worth, Texas. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Petroleum Engineering from the University of Wyoming, a MBA from the University of South Dakota, and is a registered professional engineer. Emery was selected as a Distinguished Alumnus by the University of Wyoming, Alumnus of the Year by the University of South Dakota Business, and is a Distinguished Eagle Scout. Emery is enrolled a member of the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. He is a member of the Board of Directors of the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis. He previously served on the Board of Directors for the United States Chamber of Commerce, the Edison Electrical Institute, and the American Gas Association. He is active in state and community affairs, currently serving on 3 gubernatorial appointed boards in South Dakota and 1 in Wyoming. He is also involved in various charitable and nonprofit community organizations.
Hello everyone, thanks for participating today. Unfortunately, it can't be in person because of the coronavirus, but thanks for your attendance. I know it's been stated previously, but I think back on my days as council president, and this is certainly the key fundraiser for the council. So we really appreciate you being here and listening to us today. It's a sign of the strange times that we're living in, I think, that I'm giving a speech for a leadership breakfast via video. And frankly, despite doing lots of videos as the CEO of Black Hills Corporation, I really don't like doing it. So please bear with me. I'd much prefer to have a live audience, but we'll do the best with the cameras and looking at steel and glass instead of people's faces. So my scouting days started back at PAC 22 in Hot Springs growing up. And when my parents moved to Custer, when I was in 3rd grade, I transferred to PAC 25 and then continued on with Troop 25 in Custer. And you know, when you think back on it, in Cub Scouts, you're really not interested in much, frankly, other than the fun. You don't pay attention to much other than the games you play, the treats you eat, and which friends show up for the den meetings and the PAC meetings. And you don't really pay attention to the lessons that are being taught, right, through the different programs that Scouting has to offer. As I got into high school and got older as a Boy Scout, certainly I stayed in Scouting because, and despite all the different conflicts for my time and attention, largely because the values that were taught by Scouting and supported by Scouting aligned with those that I'd been taught by my parents, my grandparents. And it was things, you know, like leadership, service, the citizenship, service to God, service to country. Those things were part of how I was raised, and that aligned well. And so I stuck with Scouting largely because I believed in what they were teaching me, which I think was pretty important. As you've heard, I think earlier, I was fortunate enough to obtain the rank of Eagle Scout. And you've probably heard this before, but one of the things they say about Eagle Scout is that it's probably the only thing you can do at 14 or 15 years of age that is still relevant when you're looking at your resume at age 40, or in my case, 57. And certainly in my career as an executive and as a hiring manager, if I saw Eagle Scout on someone's resume, it always caught my attention, and almost always, with rare exceptions, they at least got an interview because I knew that background and training was there. The theme of the program is building stronger communities, and I've certainly discussed that largely from my perspective as the CEO and my previous role as CEO of Black Hills Energy for 15 plus years. But a lot of the foundation, I think, for my interest in giving back to the communities and being a participant in helping the communities goes back to the things I was involved in as a scout. Certainly my parents contributed. My parents were very active in state and local government and a lot of civic organizations in the communities that we lived in. My dad was a state senator, things like that. So it was kind of expected in my house that you would be involved in things. Not forced, but it just kind of came with the territory, I guess. But Scouting contributed a lot to that as well. One of my first memories as a Boy Scout, frankly, was a bit service related. In 1972, when the Rapid City flood hit, the Scouts Camp Broadex, was destroyed in the flood. And the council decided not to try to rebuild for various reasons, and purchased what is now the Medicine Mountain Scout Ranch. And at the time, there literally was nothing there but a very small ranching operation with, the headwaters of Spring Creek running through it, and the house, which is still there, and a few buildings, and a very rickety little, almost a 2-track road to get out there. Much different than what's there today. And our troop, Troop 25, provided all the parking and directing traffic for people to park in the field there, and then serving the meal at the groundbreaking ceremony for that camp. It wasn't a big deal, but I do remember, as a very new Boy Scout, thinking, wow, this is cool, right? We get to help kick off this brand new Scout camp in this really neat spot. So a few years later, when that camp opened, our troop from Custer was one of the first troops that stayed there. It was a short season, 4 or 5 weeks, if I remember. and most of the camp wasn't done. You know, the key buildings, the commissary, the hub, a few of those were completed, a few campsites. Certainly the National Guard did a lot of that construction. The dam was done and the road that's there today was done, so it was a good way into the camp. But every time we visited camp, and including that stay at the summer, but literally every time through my scouting career, we were always working on the service project at the camp because it wasn't done, and it wasn't done for years. And so we spent a lot of time, whether it was lining, rocks around culverts and cutting dead trees and cleaning up, and there was always something there. So my memories of camp always had that service aspect included in those. In the summer of 1977, I was a member of the Black Hills Area Council's Jamboree Troop. And we went to the National Jamboree in Moraine State Park, Pennsylvania. And there was 20 of us, 18 kids and 2 adults. And we traveled a couple thousand miles in a yellow school bus with no air conditioning to get to Pennsylvania and back. A memorable trip. We went from here to Chicago, to Detroit, to Ohio, and then to Moraine State Park, Pennsylvania. We dubbed it, the park was named Moraine State Park for the glacial moraine that formed the lake there. And we dubbed it Moraine State Park. We literally got over 20 inches of rain the week we were there. Really severe flooding. One kid literally got struck by lightning and died. Real tragic. Lots of campsites got completely flooded out. They had to relocate them completely. And again, you had 29,000 scouts camped in this area with just these horrible monsoon rains. We had tents in those days without floors. So we had the little dew cloths that lined under the side walls, and we laid a piece of clear plastic on the floor, and I woke up one morning and my hand was on the plastic and it was water underneath everywhere. So we literally trenched the whole campsite, all of our sites. Some of the kids even had trenches running through the middle of their tent for a week of rain. But back to the service aspect of that, the first night that we had the really severe rains, like 4 inches overnight in a matter of just a few hours, the troop next to us was camped in a hole at the bottom of a hill. And the trail to their campsite literally was a downhill trail, almost straight down the hill into this little bowl, basically, that they'd been assigned to their campsite. They didn't get to pick it. And we woke up in the middle of the night with all the rain and storms going on, hearing them yelling and screaming, and literally that trail had turned into a creek that was completely flooding out their campsite. So a group of us, mostly the older boys, went over and helped, and we literally cut logs, dug ditches, built water bars in that trail all night long in the rain and the mud, trying to keep them from getting completely flooded out. And it was a very long, very wet, very hard-working night, but one of those things you won't forget. And I think the appreciation they had for us helping them, really kind of made it all worthwhile. When you woke up in the morning and you could actually see all the water bars and logs and things that you'd carried in the middle of the night, pretty satisfying, I think, from that service to others perspective. I had a lot of experiences like that in scouting, and I learned a lot. When you talk about service and building communities, I think it's fitting that one of the key requirements for the Eagle Award is the service project. I know my service project, the amount of leadership and organization skills and other things that were required to do that project, which was building footbridges on what was then the Pahasapa Trail in the Black Hills. Now it's part of the Centennial Trail. It took a huge effort, coordinating with the Forest Service to get done what they wanted done from a bridges perspective. The materials, they all had to be backpacked in. We had to have the labor to do that. We needed the dads and tools and gear to pack in and build all those bridges. It was a tremendous learning experience for me, and I learned a lot about that. And as a scout, that was one of many, many opportunities I had to exhibit leadership skills. And that's certainly something that helped me a lot throughout my career at Black Hills. After I graduated from high school and then from the University of Wyoming with a degree in petroleum engineering, I went to work for an oil and gas company. I lived and worked in Colorado, in Wyoming, in Texas. And then in 1989, I applied for a job at Black Hills Corporation. I knew the company. My dad worked for Black Hills Power, and I was familiar with them. And frankly, a big part of the reason that I wanted to come to work there was because the corporate values of the company matched those that I talked about earlier, that my parents had instilled in me and that Scouting continued to support as well. And that corporate culture was not an accident. I mean, the leadership at Black Hills was full of Eagle Scouts, literally. Dan Langeth, the CEO prior to me, was also a distinguished Eagle Scout. When I became CEO, we had 5 senior officers, including myself, who were all Eagle Scouts. That was 2/3 of our senior leadership team. So pretty meaningful impact of that background in Scouting towards who the company was. Lynn Evans, who replaced me as CEO, is also an Eagle Scout. So that'll be 3 in a row, essentially, CEOs at Black Hills Corporation that were all Eagle Scouts spanning 40-ish years, 35 years of time. The Black Hills Energy building and supporting communities is really key to our success. The company serves 1.3 million electric and natural gas utility customers. Customer being defined as a meter, so a building, a house, a business, whatever. We serve those in 824 different communities in 8 states. The company is a regulated public utility, which means we have the exclusive right to provide those utility services within a defined territory, but we're highly regulated as a result. So as a regulated monopoly, our service territory literally is drawn on a map by a state entity. So inside our lines, we serve everyone. We're required to serve everyone who can pay their bill. Outside those lines, someone else has the right to serve. As Black Hills was a New York Stock Exchange listed company, in fact, we're the largest one in South Dakota, it was very critical to our continued success as a company that we grow. And the utility industry was consolidating rapidly, and in order to survive, you had to grow. Well, if you think about growing a company in the context of a defined area on a map, there's only 2 ways to grow a utility like that. You either have to buy other utilities and get their service territories to add to what you already have, or you have to make sure, and this was our primary objective always, that the communities that we had the right to serve were strong. As a company, we couldn't grow and thrive unless the communities that we served also grew and thrived. So as a result, we placed a lot of emphasis on community involvement. And frankly, it wasn't just encouraged. We expected our leaders to be involved in organizations, still do today. And a lot of our employees are as well. And throughout all the states we do business in, all those communities, we've got employees serving on, every board, every nonprofit organization, city councils, fire departments, mayors, state legislators, you name it, in order to make those communities stronger and a better place. 1, we live there, our employees live and work there. 2, they want a strong community, and 2, it's critical to the success of the company. We made substantial donations, continue to do so to organizations within those communities to help make the communities a better place. And we targeted organizations that reach out to a lot of different people. For example, in the Black Hills, United Way, supports 50-some agencies, including Scouting. Our company here in this region has been, between the company and all of our employees who are givers, the largest giver to the United Way of the Black Hills for years and years by far. Well, that's not an accident. I mean, for every employee who gives their week of pay or hour of pay per month, we give them a day off every year to encourage them to contribute. So it's important to the organization to support the community, and that organization touches so many people in the community. It's a priority for us. We also support lots of capital campaigns for nonprofits throughout our service territories. particularly those who, again, touch lots of people. So facilities, youth and family services, things like that, where they touch a lot of people. Those are things that we like to be key givers in and really help support the construction of those facilities to help the communities, again, grow and thrive. Personally, I've been involved in lots of different nonprofit entities, government entities, boards and things over the years. Still am on quite a few, even after my quote-unquote retirement from Black Hills. And it's interesting, I look back on that, and I didn't do it because I was looking to put things on my resume. I never felt like I wanted to be in an organization unless I could be actively involved. So if I couldn't be there, couldn't contribute, couldn't make a difference, I wouldn't do it. And I didn't do it because it helped me build contacts for business or anything else. I really did it, and especially as I've gotten older and realized more about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, I did it because of those values that were instilled, in me by my parents and reinforced consistently through scouting, right? Of the importance of that service to others, of supporting your community or supporting your country, those things, and that served me well throughout, certainly scouting, served me well throughout my career as well. I get great personal satisfaction, kind of that feeling that we got when we helped those guys build water bars in the middle of the night, through the service and some of the things that I do, whether it was on the Boy Scout board years ago, the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis. I've chaperoned a mission trip to Jamaica for quite a few years for St. Thomas More High School. All of those things give me satisfaction knowing that I'm doing things to help others. And that's a value that I learned largely in scouting, plus certainly started by my parents. So bottom line from my perspective is if you want to live in a strong, supportive, and thriving community, the key is you have to get involved. And I think getting involved in your community is something that scouting has supported for years. I mean, today, scouting continues to foster that kind of sense, obligation almost, to get involved in your community, right? The requirement for service hours, service projects, all of those things. Your support of the breakfast today will help the Black Hills Council continue to support our youth as they not only support our communities, but certainly the state and the nation as well. So thank you for your time and your participation today. Appreciate it.
Another special report brought to you by our council president, Brad Fisher.
State of the Council Reality Check. Good morning and thank you for attending the 2020 Virtual Leadership Breakfast. I am Brad Fisher, Black Hills Area Council Board President. The year 2020 and COVID-19. I expected this year to be memorable, being 2020 and all, but not historic. This COVID pandemic has affected us all in every possible way. It has affected our traveling, our gathering, working and educating, healthcare providing, eating out, buying groceries, even buying toilet paper. We've all been forced to make sudden, unexpected changes to an event that is so unknown. Black Hills Area Council has been no different. It has been challenged and asked to make decisions not common. Thank goodness, Scouts are tough. The council has forged ahead due to having been prepared. It was able to make the best decisions possible given the circumstances, with the focus on safety and future of Scouting. The first 6 months of 2020 have been exhausting. Heartbreaking decisions have had to be made by this council. 2 council events have fallen victim to this pandemic: our 20th annual leadership breakfast and Medicine Mountain Scout Ranch summer camp. These events are cornerstones for revenue generation for our council. COVID-19 has necessitated the cancellation of both events. As a result of these cancellations, the council's financial conditions have suffered. They've been severely damaged to a state of needing immediate financial assistance. More than ever before, the council needs financial contributions from loyal donors and families such as you. 20th Annual Leadership Breakfast. This event demands countless hours of effort and focus from our Scout volunteers across our footprint. It is the council's largest fundraiser of the year. This event helps enable the council the ability to deliver year-round programming for our youth. It sets the tone for fundraising for the year. COVID-19 postponed the event, not once, but twice. It forced hundreds of loyal attendees to reschedule. When an event reschedules, the likelihood of attendees not coming to the rescheduled event increases greatly. Given the need to reschedule a second time, we could only imagine how devastating that would have caused the attendance level. The postponements for this event was inevitable based upon social distancing directives from both the national and state governments. As a result, we've had to adapt and move towards this virtual world to reach out to you. Then you have Medicine Mountain Summer Scout Camp. Camp operation tests our council's ability to coordinate campers, adults, staffing, services, and programming every year. It is an art form to make all this happen. Our staff strives during this event and makes it look so easy. They embrace the challenges and cooperate to find solutions which result in lasting camping experiences and memories for our scouters. The council prides itself with the beauty of this venue and being able to open it up to scouters from across our country and internationally. COVID-19 pushed us into uncharted waters. How do we plan for an ever-changing unknown? All the what-ifs, and how can you be sure we are protecting our campers, as we have pledged to do so? Our staff labored over camping issues while the board reviewed countless projections based upon varying camper attendance levels and unknown health challenges that have become our reality. As spring neared, reports of canceled summer youth programs around the country began to increase, causing uncertainty and questions regarding 2020 camping season at Medicine Mountain. It was questioned what camp attendance might look like as we got closer to June, with the scheduled arrival of camp staff from across the United States. Would camp be safely ready? Would we have supplies and staff well prepared? Could we adequately provide for medical emergencies? Would we get the necessary supplies in the quantities needed? Daily these questions were asked. Then it happened. Attendance began to drop significantly. It became clear the financial impacts to the council would be astronomical. Our board was faced with one of the hardest decisions ever. Does camp close? Based upon needing to ensure the health and safety of our scouts and weighing the financial impacts of a declining camping attendees, the decision was made to close camp for the summer of 2020 at Medicine Mountain. Finally, popcorn. This event is not driven by volunteers nor staff, but by scouters. Here's where excitement builds around our scouts as they are given the opportunity to display their determination, leadership, and cooperation. Selling popcorn teaches many skills and allows them to pay their own way to high adventure camps and national jamborees. This event will happen and will round out a memorable new year of 2020. Fun will take over this fall, and long anticipation of normalcy will return to our scouting communities and families. Popcorn will be an event to plan for, be ready for, and to pounce on once given the opportunity. Perhaps the new year of 2020 will be historic in a scouting sort of way. We have amazing youth, and they are resilient. Despite all of the adversity they've faced, they've continued to scout on. We can't let them down now. Scouting is too important and relevant to them. These scouts are our future leaders. Please provide them the opportunities to embrace and learn all that scouting has to offer. They deserve our best so they can be the best. So here you have it, Black Hills Area Council's first ever virtual leadership breakfast. This is the council's first attempt to not lose one attendee due to rescheduling. I hope you've all enjoyed this year's 2020 virtual breakfast and understand the financial urgency the council is under at this time. Remember, we're all in this together. Thank you for attending.
Thank you, President Fisher, for sharing with us. All through my scouting experience, I have always appreciated the sponsors and Friends of Scouting donors. But I've also paid my own way by participating in fundraisers. Fisher Beverage has provided the council space to organize the multiple pallets of popcorn. This message from the Popcorn Family of the Year for the past 4 years is brought to you by Fisher Beverage.
What are you guys doing?
Getting ready for popcorn.
But we're still selling trash bags.
Our theme is building stronger communities. Let me just tell you a few statistics from Baylor University's study when it compared Eagle Scouts to men who weren't in scouting. 66% are more likely to volunteer. 73% are more likely to have voted in the last presidential election. 55% are more likely to be in leadership position at their place of employment, and 76% are more likely to hold a leadership position in their local community. You have heard about the Scouts whose dreams were fueled by your support. First, for every 100 boys who join Scouting, 5 will become Eagle Scouts. 9 will enter a vocation learned through the Merit Badge program. 1 will use Scouting skills to save the life of another person. Additionally, twice as many Scouts will graduate from college compared to the general population. And what about all Scouting alumni? Well, 89% of senior class presidents were Scouts, 85% of FBI agents, 68% of West Point graduates, 72% of Rhodes Scholars, and 89% of the astronaut corps were Scouts. Now, how do parents of Scouts versus non-Scouts feel about Scouting programs? 96% say Scouts learn valuable skills versus 77% of non-Scout parents. 94% say Scouts develop leadership traits versus 73% of non-Scout parents. 92% say Scouts learn respect for others versus 70% of non-Scout parents. 91% say Scouts learn strong morals and values versus 66% of non-Scout parents. Now pay close attention to these alarming statistics. Every day in our country, 7,300 high school students drop out. 2,233 youth are arrested. 18,493 public school students are suspended. Many say the moral fabric of our country is eroding, but I am so pleased that Scouting has stood the test of time and continues to be a beacon of hope. A path to responsibility and a value-based organization that makes a positive difference in the lives of Scouts like me. Financial support is needed today more than before, and you will continue to make a difference in the lives of young people like me. For without you, who? And if not now, when? You can make an impact, and now is the time. I represent 1,200 Scouts and 750 volunteers who appreciate your passion for Scouting and our efforts to ensure that all young people who desire to participate can do so regardless of their financial resources. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to help Scouting thrive and grow in South Dakota. More than ever, young Americans need the character building, the leadership skills, and the lessons in personal responsibility that the Scouting programs offer. We are committed to giving Scouts the tools and experiences, the knowledge, and the faith to make the world a better place. Our mission may be lofty, but with your help, it is attainable. For without you, who? And if not now, when? You can make an impact, and now is the time. Many of us will earn the Eagle Badge, become parents, city leaders, and business executives. We are the future. Ask a Scout. I ask you to support the Scouting through financial pledge to our council's 2020 Friends of Scouting annual campaign. It is our hope that everyone here today makes a financial pledge to support Scouting. With your generous help, we should be well on our way to raising our goal. We are asking everyone consider a minimum pledge of $175. This is the cost to support one Scout in the Black Hills Area Council. Many of you also work for companies that provide matching funds, so please indicate that on your card. I know that many guests contribute at a much higher level, and for that, we share our appreciation. In fact, the average individual gift at last year's breakfast was nearly $350. As you think about your gift and my request, consider the phrase, give until it feels good. Every size gift is important, and won't it feel good to help 1,200 Scouts and 750 volunteer Scout leaders, and make a positive difference in the life of Scouts like me? You will help us, won't you? Your table host may have picked up pledge cards in advance and delivered them to you, or you can use the online form found in the event itself. Website, or magically a link will appear in the comments. We thank you for your support at any level, and remember, at all donations, stay local. This commercial is sponsored by Dave and Steph Heineck, and features our council program director and camp director, Stuart Smith.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trading Post. How can I help you today? I see there, Jimmy, you brought some friends with you today for some ice cream. So what kind of ice cream can I get for you guys? Vanilla, chocolate, twist. I know, Jimmy, you like the slushy whip, so I know I'll be making that for you. What kind of toppings? Gummy bears? I don't know if we have any more gummy bears, guys. But I know we have Snicker bars, cookies, cookie dough, chocolate sauce, but definitely a slush whip. And you know what, guys? Since there's a group of you, maybe you guys should get a pizza. Pizza would be really good for you guys. So yeah, okay. So chocolate ice cream, a vanilla twist with cookie dough, great. And an orange slushy whip, and another chocolate, great guys, awesome.
So, here's our trading post. This spring, we installed this nice drive-up window so our guests could order right from here and not have to go in the store to get other merchandise we have in there. So speaking of our trading post, here we have the ice cream, we have the pizza, we have some snack food. Everyone likes that. When you go inside, we sell sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, some camping gear in case you left that at home, maybe a spare toothbrush. All available here in our trading post. If you look on the outside here, you'll see that we've got some nice new siding. We got the new drive-through window that we can take customers. We've really been doing a lot of work with it this spring on really making it just upgrading it. One of the problems we had with our old trading post was the wood siding. The squirrels really loved that, and we are getting squirrel nests up in our attic and chewing through our water pipes and all kinds of fun things. So hopefully now with this new siding that's vermin proof for chewing, and now we've buttoned up some of the holes, we've really made this thing really an exciting piece and a center point of our camp. Our hope over the years, as funds are available, are to continue to replace all of our wood siding, and just, it's bad for the squirrels, but it'll sure make our buildings look and last a lot longer. Something kind
Here you go, Jimmy Scout. Here's your slush puppy.
We want to thank David Emery for his thoughts and inspiration during his keynote speech. A special treat for us all is in this next section, where David sits with our 2019 Eagle Scout of the Year, Joshua Huff, and our 2020 Eagle Scout of the Year, Tyrone Ware, for a question and answer session.
I don't know who's answering everyone, so I'll let you guys decide who's going first.
All right, I'll ask the first one. So I looked at the website a little bit, and I was just wondering if you could talk about the Stewardship Through the Trees program. and how that raises awareness for environmental impacts and then emphasizes the benefits of the trees.
Yeah, the Power of Trees program, which we've had since probably 2008 or 2009, really acknowledges the role that trees play in absorbing CO2 primarily, right? So, and despite all the things that you read and see about all the various clean energies, there aren't technologies that can do everything that we can do today with fossil fuels. They do not exist economically today. And so we promote the Trees program basically to provide some solution and awareness that, frankly, that's one of the more economical ways to help with the CO2 problem. And it also reforests areas that have been clear cut and other things as well. So, and it's a real good one for kids and communities to engage in. So it's a great awareness tool for us. And like I said, we've had it for probably 10 or 11 years.
Cool. Thank you.
So I guess, was it always hard? Was it hard coming up from a certain background, or was it always, I guess, I would say, easy to come up and becoming successful, or was it there always kind of a struggle there, or I guess?
I didn't sit down and say, gee, I want to be a CEO someday. I mean, it didn't work out that way. The thought, frankly, never even occurred to me. It was more about, you just kind of do what you do, frankly. And I'll talk about it when I do my speech, but I think a lot of how I was brought up by my parents, and I was brought up to work hard. I mean, I got a job when I was 10, when you could do that. You can't do that anymore. You have to wait till you're 14. But I just worked hard and applied things, and I was very consistent, values-wise. And I think if you do that and do it repeatedly and work hard, you can get through the difficult times. I mean, I had classes that were wicked hard that I hated. I got out of school as a petroleum engineer at the last worst downturn the industry had ever seen. And, we literally laid off 1 million people in about 3 years. And those times were really difficult. I mean, I was working 100 hours a week for week after week after week, literally 100 hours a week. And, I didn't think a whole lot about it at the time, but I was learning more during those periods because they pushed me outside of my comfort zone than I was in the places where I was comfortable. In hindsight, at the time it didn't feel that way. It felt hard, right? Which is the question. But in hindsight, those difficult times, those difficult experiences, that's where I learned the most because I was the most uncomfortable. And I had to get through it just either by asking for help, working, relying on what I knew, who I knew, whatever that was. And I think it really taught you to be a lot more resourceful. And those times, I think, helped a lot with helping me be able to think and be able to lead and some of the other things that, the skills you needed to acquire to be in senior leadership in a large company. Scouting certainly helped as well, right? The Eagle projects, the different things that you learn in scouting, they want the boys to lead, not the leaders. And I think that was an important concept as well.
Sure. So moving on a little bit, when I was kind of looking at the website a little more to familiarize myself with Black Hills Energy, I saw like a little tab about electric cars. And it kind of like goes into kind of the benefits of electric cars, and it kind of seems like more technologies that are kind of shifting to that. So I'm just wondering, what are the weaknesses of an individual relying solely on their electric car? Is there things that people who are going into electric cars versus regular gasoline powered should be worried about? So what are the kind of the cons of relying more on electric cars?
Yeah, the company has been promoting electric cars. We live in a part of the country where they're not widely accepted. Our Colorado service territory, and they're much more popular than in Wyoming or South Dakota or even Montana, which are the 4 states we serve on the electric side. The technology is definitely going in that direction. So we feel like it's really important for the company to be ahead of that technology, have them in our own fleet, know how to use them, fully understand the advantages and disadvantages through our own experiences and the experiences of our customers. So when they get here, which will be later because we're so rural, we'll be prepared for that. Now, the biggest limitation, the advantages, obviously they're fun to drive. I don't know if you've ever ridden in one, but the torque and the speed and everything, they're fun. They're fun. They're heavy, so they perform really well. And if you're using them for limited mileage, if you're commuting in Minneapolis, for example, they'd be a fantastic automobile. And a lot of states have what they call time of use rates. So the electric rate's different in the middle of the night than it is in the middle of the day. So you can commute, come home, park, plug it in at night, charge it when it's really cheap. It's good for you as a consumer. It's good for the electric company because it's a time when we have lots of energy available. So it uses our facilities at a time when they're not normally used as much. So that's good efficiency too. The limitations, and the primary limitation continues to be with electric cars, is battery technology. We're using some different metals, but we're basically using 100-year-old battery technology. It's an oversimplification, but it hasn't come that far relative to a lot of other technologies. And that's the limit. You might be able to get a vehicle with a range of 300 miles. Well, if you're traveling across the country, do you really want to sit and wait for 4 or 5 hours or 6 hours or whatever every 300 miles to charge your car? And if you're in the middle of nowhere, like in South Dakota, what happens if that station is 315 miles or whatever? And the charging stations are getting more developed. That's clearly the limit. We've looked at them and have ordered some at the company, electric line trucks even. And they're very good, they're very efficient, but in our case, where we have a lot of four-wheel drive vehicles, which a lot of territories don't because of our terrain and snow, if we have storm duty, we can't get them back to a location to charge efficiently. And so if you've got guys working on winter storms for 3-4 days straight, we can take them fuel. We can't take them a charge very easily. We could, but it involves hauling a generator, or they have to ride back in every time. And so there's a lot of limitations, mainly related to battery technology, but it's coming. It's coming. The ideal scenario, which a lot of environmental advocates are really touting, is if you can live in a part of the country where the wind blows a lot at night, for example, you have good availability of cheap wind energy at night when, frankly, as a utility, we don't need that energy in the middle of the night, so we don't really have anything to do with it. We can't put it anywhere. No customers are using it. Well, if you could set it up where you could use wind to power the batteries and charge the batteries at night in the off-peak hours when no one else is using power, it would offer a lot of advantages. But the system is a long way to go to get there. You're in this part of the world, you're probably at least a decade away from widespread adoption of electric cars. San Francisco, a place like that, a little different, but they also have huge tax incentives and mandates and things to make it happen instead of having it happen economically.
Thank you. I guess, so being a CEO, is that a hard job to keep up? And do a lot of people rely on you for certain tasks or certain, incentives to do certain things? Or is it fairly easy and you just kind of can sit back and relax?
Yeah, it's not the latter. At least not in a public corporation. I can't speak to what it's like in a private one, but in a public company, utility is highly, highly regulated industry anyway. And then as a New York Stock Exchange traded company, we're under all the SEC regulations. And so, it's one of, if you read the list of most stressful jobs, the New York Stock Exchange listed CEO is one of those. Average tenure of one of those CEOs runs between 5 and 6 years, and that's as long as they typically stay in office. So I did it for 15, which I thought was way more than enough. But it depends on the people you surround yourself with, right? And I think another thing that you learn through some of those difficult experiences is you're not expected as a CEO to know everything, but you're expected to make sure somebody does. You're responsible. And there is no one else that's going to get blamed if something happens. Period, whether it's legal or otherwise. And so you don't need to know everything, but you need to make sure you surround yourself with people who've got all the bases covered, and particularly the things that you're weak at. And we all have those, right? And I think the most important thing is to recognize those and make sure you've got some really strong people that you trust that have the skills that you don't. And that makes it less stressful, right? But it's certainly stressful. It literally is you're held, at least my board held me completely accountable for everything. I didn't care what happened or who did it. It was my fault, right? And 3,000 employees. And that's the standard. Now, from a legal standpoint, after the 2008 and 9 recession and some of the legislation that was passed, the CEO now is held personally and criminally liable for everything that happens with a corporation. So you can do jail time, etc., for anything. And not just what you were aware of, but what you should have been aware of, which is a pretty nebulous standard.
Yeah.
So that certainly adds to the stress, right? Again, you want to make sure you have people you trust when they say this is okay, or this follows the rules, or this environmental permit follows the regulations, things like that. But it's a fun job because you never know what's coming next, especially in a broad company that serves a wide region like we did, and lots of different business facets. But very stressful. I mean, I kind of got to the point where it didn't bother me much, but you never have a dull day and you're never off. I mean, there is no such thing as being off. I always had to be reachable.
All right, so my last question here is pretty broad, so feel free to take it any way that you want. So I'm just curious if it would be more beneficial, to society as a whole and the economy as a whole, to put the pressure on consumers to lower their consumption of energy, especially related to environmental impacts, or if it would be more beneficial to invest more in finding more eco-friendly options for powering the grid. So would you say it's more important for us as environmental impact related for us as consumers to lower our personal consumption, or would it be more beneficial for the government to give tax subsidies and things like that to corporations to focus the shift away from fossil fuels?
It's not an either or scenario, right? I mean, it has to be both. And it has been both. I personally think that tax credits for stimulating new technology is a great tool. Once the technology is proven, like wind or solar, or once the state actually just mandates that you use renewable energy, for example, you don't need the subsidy anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So if California says we're going to have 40% of our energy come from renewables, why should all the citizens of the United States subsidize that effort? Which is what happens with federal tax credits. They're great for early adoption of technologies, and they're necessary because companies won't take that risk to develop those technologies if they're going to be too expensive because consumers won't buy them early. And the tax credit makes it work. As the technology gets better, the costs come down, they get more prevalent, those tax credits should go away. And I believe that with wind today, and they need to go away. There's been a long enough subsidy there. But they're a huge tool and we should use it. Right? And that's what's going to spur technology development on batteries, on CO2 sequestration, things like that have to occur. You're going to need incentives for people to take the risks to try to develop those as businesses when they're not, frankly, economic today. They can't compete with the cost of energy as it's produced by fossil fuels today. So without the subsidies, you're not going to develop those technologies. So you have to do that. The flip side is, and conservation's great too, right? And I think having consumers that are educated about where their energy comes from, which frankly most of them are not, right? And how it actually works and how much it costs is a good thing, but it's difficult. Right? I mean, if you look back over the history of this company in particular, the reason I'm biased, obviously, but the reason that we've had the economic success that we have is because we've had very, very cheap and very abundant supplies of energy. And that's an input to every process and everything we do, everything we make, everything, literally everything that happens. Energy is an input somewhere in that process. And consumers take that for granted. And historically, as companies, we've been happy letting them take that for granted. But now that they think some of these forms of energy are things we should focus on, but they don't really understand what they cost, or they don't understand their limitations, then it's hard, right? So the issue is we have to educate people on where their energy comes from, encourage them to use it more wisely, which I think is smart. But on the other hand, energy is the engine that makes the economy work to a large extent. The technology, right? Look at the amount of things you plug in now compared to when I was a kid. You know, we didn't even have an electric can opener, you know. It's completely different. And so if you squash too much consumption, I think you'll hold your economy back and the drivers that lead to the quality of life we have. But there's a happy medium in there somewhere. And conservation is important. It's important, more important, that we continue to educate people about the limits of various forms of energy. You cannot interchange wind and solar and coal-fired power and gas-fired power. They are not the same. Some are available all the time, always. Some are not. Some are predictable, some are not. You have to integrate them together. And we don't have the technology to just go solely on the renewable side right now. The average person walking down the street thinks they're all the same. Doesn't matter if it's a wind turbine, a solar farm, you know, a coal plant or a gas plant, they're all the same, and we could easily interchange them if we wanted to. Well, physics says otherwise. It doesn't work that way. And without the turning machines, we can't keep the grid lit. So we need to educate people better, and then they'll be better users too. I think they'll be a little more conscientious about, you know, the wind's free. Well, not really, right? So there's some of these biases that exist because they don't have an understanding of where it comes from and what it really costs. And frankly, the tax credit issue masks the true costs to the consumer. So wind and solar might look cheap because of the massive tax credits that are subsidizing them that no one sees, because basically we're funding it with federal deficit spending. Right? So no one really knows what that cost is, but it's over half of the cost of what that energy would otherwise cost. If they were paying double for it today, what they are, they might have a different opinion. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You need to educate people and help them be better users, but also help them to understand there's limitations to different forms of energy and much different costs. And I think with that, people can make better choices. But you have to have both. I mean, you have to have, you know, when it's practical, you need to conserve. When it's not, you need to consume, because it helps your economy and your businesses and everything else grow. But you need to do that wisely and as efficiently as possible. There's no easy answer to that one.
Thank you.
You bet.
So I guess, what kind of tips would you have for the younger generation to not be so reliant on like a specific energy? Being that we have all this technology nowadays, and we would be, you know, plugging in our phones and plugging in the TV, plugging in an Xbox, what would be something that you would recommend we do versus using that at a specific time of day? There's a lot of kids now with the whole COVID going on that are staying home and they are on the electronics all the time. What would you say would be the best thing to do to limit, I guess, daily usage of that?
Yeah, you know, one of the biggest things as a utility company is we have to be, and we're legally required to do this, we have to be able to provide our customers the absolute peak load that we can forecast. So the hottest day, the highest dry wind, or the coldest, bitterest blizzard, we have to have resources available to cover those days, plus a cushion, because we share the cushion with the neighbor utilities. And there's legal requirements for us to do so and penalties if we don't, right? And so as we plan for those peak days or peak times of individual days, what has a tendency to happen, and it's very predictable, is that mid to late afternoon, you get into early evening, usage is always the highest. So if people are really conscientious about energy and energy conservation and being mindful of that, you try to use less energy during those peak periods of the day when everyone's getting home from work, home from school, turning on the lights, turning on the computer, washing clothes, washing dishes, doing all those things. And instead do it later in the evening or in the morning before you go to work sometimes, and some of those things. I think as an energy consumer, noting that you try to use at times when you're not at a peak load is a better answer environmentally, especially. So typically what happens when we run our plants, we run the most efficient, economically feasible, cheapest to operate units first. So on an operating cost basis, wind is the cheapest. It's not true if you add all the capital in, but with just the energy, wind is the cheapest because there's not much cost. Lubrication and maintenance and whatever. So that runs first. And then we go down the list. Our coal plants, which are in Gillette, right, buy really cheap fuel. They run around the clock. They run next. Actually, they run about equal with when the wind does. But then as you get hotter and hotter and you need to turn on more resources, we use like natural gas engines, which are not very efficient, but they're only designed to run for a few hours at a time to cover that peak load. And because they're designed to not run all the time, they're not very efficient. So they use more energy for the amount of electricity they produce. So as a consumer, if you're concerned about that, you use less energy during the times when we'd have to run those peaking units to cover those real hot days or the hot afternoons or the bitter cold mornings or whatever. And then that's the best way to help out with that issue. Because all utilities in the country have the same issue. Might be different times of day and different times of year, depending on where you live, but it's the same issue. We have to plan for the peak no matter when it occurs. And usually at that peak, we're using our most expensive resources that are the least energy efficient and the most unfriendly environmentally, because that's the way they're designed. Make sense?
Yep.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Done? All right.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks.
Yeah, good questions. Thanks, guys.
What a great segment. The BHAC morning show is coming to close, and we would like to thank all of our table hosts today who joined us virtually and invited all of you as well. Additionally, we would like to thank all of our sponsors again for their support. Today, we have made a difference in the lives of youth like me. Each of you have done something important for our community. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in person next year. I leave you in the true scouting fashion.
What a great week at camp, everybody. So, at camp tradition, we're going to end with an awesome camp song. I want to bring in our camp staff. Come on down, guys.
Yeah!
And I don't know about you, Bobby, but I started my day with a banana.
Bananas unite! And you peel. Bananas. Peel, peel, bananas. And you peel. Bananas. Peel, peel, bananas. And you eat. Bananas. Eat, bananas. And you eat. Bananas. Eat, bananas. And you go. Bananas. Go, bananas. And you go. Bananas. Go, bananas.
Woo! And guys, thank you for coming out here with us today. That's going to end our campfire.
Woo!
We'll see you at Medicine Mountain next summer.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, we get to add a tree because we've hit $40,000. So we're going to put that right there. I'll fix it later. It's a little crooked. But I have all of these other things to add to our wonderful thermometer list. So please make sure that you are giving your pledges. We have people ready to answer the phone. Again, that number is 605-342-2824. Or if you like to click around, you can go to the website at leadership.blackhillsbsa.org. I want to thank again all of our sponsors. Big shout out to Mike Crook, who did all of the amazing video and editing for us. We literally could not have had this virtual breakfast without him. And a shout out to our staff member, Bobby, who has been clicking behind the scenes. And it's her birthday today. So if you don't want to do it for the Black Hills, do it as a birthday gift for Bobby. So I'm not going to sing happy birthday and put you guys through that punishment, but want to thank you for your time. And make sure you check through the Facebook throughout the day, because we do have some more skits, believe it or not. We have a lot of fun putting this all together for you. So waiting for your call and your clicks, and we'll see you soon with some updates.